Okay, welcome again to the virtual training workshop on climate financing for small island developing states, SIDS. My name is Makoto Kato from the Overseas Environmental Cooperation Center, Japan. I would like to serve as the moderator today. As mentioned earlier, this workshop has been organized for SIDS across the world. We are having for different countries from different time zones across the world. Welcome to this event. And the workshop is being organized jointly by the Ministry of the Environment, Japan, International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, through the SIDS Lighthouse Initiative, and the Green Climate Fund, GCF. So to start this event, I would like to invite for the speakers for the opening remarks. First, I would like to invite Mr. Ryuzo Sugimoto, Director of International Cooperation and Sustainable Infrastructure Office, Global Environmental Bureau, the Ministry of the Environment, Japan, MOEJ. Sugimoto-san, please.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Kavaskunu, is my pronunciation right? Director Country Engagement on the Partnership International Renewable Energy Agency, or IRENA. Henry Gonzalez, Director of the Private Sector Facility, the Green Climate Fund, or GCF. Dear participants from countries and accredited entities, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to this online workshop. I'd like to make a short remarks on behalf of the Ministry of the Environment, Japan. The Ministry of the Environment, Japan and IRENA has been organizing this series of the workshops since its inception in 2015 in Honolulu and Kuala Lumpur. The aim of the workshop is to build capacity among stakeholders to better access to diverse climate finance and promote renewable energy technologies in island countries. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it has been some time since the event was organized in 2019. I'm pleased to be able to revive this event this year in a virtual format. This year, GCF is also participating as a co-organizer, thank you very much, and as one of the major climate financing schemes. We thank both partners, IRENA and GCF, for continued collaborations. As the world is aware, all stakeholders are now demanded to respond to climate change. Japan is also accelerating its mitigation efforts to reduce its GHG emission by 46% by 2030 and eventually achieve the carbon neutral by 2050. To realize this national target, we plan to do so through promoting innovation with the Green Innovation Fund of the $2 billion and through promoting decarbonization at the subnational level with $40 million in financial support by each year. We also accelerate assistance to developing countries for their decarbonization and resilience. Japan pledged 70 billion, including US dollars, including the additional $10 billion for achieving the carbon neutrality at the global scale, and approximately $14.8 billion for adaptations to climate change, such as in the area of the disaster risk reductions. We also work to expand the market mechanism globally. Enhancing the use of the private capital is also an important theme, and today's seminar was held as a part of this effort. Small island developing states are among the countries and the regions that are adversely affected by climate change. In addition to accelerating effort to reduce total GHG emission at the global level, There is an urgent need to promote adaptation to the socioeconomic and livelihood risk faced by the regions. As we work toward a more rapid transition to a decarbonized society, we are aware that access to a range of climate finance programs, including the mitigation and adaptations, and introduction of decarbonization technologies and infrastructure using these technologies will be the major challenge. In this workshop, GCF and IVINA funding program, other funding schemes, and a series of decarbonization technologies will be widely introduced. Participants will also have an opportunity to develop the concept notes of the tangible project and are expected to present it at the final day on 18 March. On the fourth day, a symposium on green hydrogen technologies, which is increasingly attracting attentions worldwide, will be organized as an open program. We sincerely hope that these events will be of help participants in strategizing and promoting decarbonization efforts in your home country context. Finally, I'd like to thank resource persons who are making great contribution to enrich this program and the participants, some of whom have decided to join this workshop despite the huge time difference. I sincerely hope that this workshop will be meaningful to all of you. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Sugimoto-san, for your very encouraging word and also introduction about the really exciting layout format of this event. Thank you so much. Then I would like to invite the next speaker for the opening remarks, Mr. Henry Gonzalez, Director of the Private Sector Facility of the Green Climate Fund, GCF. Mr. Gonzalez, please.
Thank you very much, Kato-san. And I would also like to express our appreciation to Sugimoto-san for his kind words of introduction, as well as Mr. Gonyo for also sharing the opening remarks. First of all, on behalf of the Green Climate Fund, I would like to express our sincere appreciation for the invitation of this virtual training, knowing that it's bringing together SIDS across the Pacific, across the Caribbean, and Africa. SIDS continue to play a pivotal role in raising global ambition towards climate change. They've been the leaders in putting this at the center of the most important events, and I was able to witness this in my recent participation at COP26, where I participated in many of their events where they were trying to bring the agenda of how to bridge COVID recovery in SIDS with a climate adaptation and mitigation elements next to that. We at the Green Climate Fund, we are a partnership organization. With our partners, we've been able to build a strong portfolio of 190 projects that between our funding and co-financing, it's now at around $37 billion across 127 countries. Out of those, 45 projects are addressing climate change threats that SIDS are facing, with a total value of over $3 billion. We remain committed in keeping a balance between adaptation and mitigation, but we also remain committed in working with SIDS to address their needs, especially when it is around micro, small, and medium enterprises. We are focused in hopefully continue supporting job generation climate investments, which are essential to preventing, responding, and recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic. We are trying to work in 2022 and prioritize more for our programming around climate resilient infrastructure, clean energy and access to energy, climate resilient agriculture that preserves livelihoods and foster ecosystems, and we will continue working around the blue economy, as we have recently approved an important project around coral reefs that many of the SID countries are part of that. We're also focused in working with communities to help them increase their level of social economic development, and also to make sure that we are working with our partners to continue the stimulus in a green measure, in a green way, as we are coming out of the pandemic. We also are trying to pilot innovative financial structures to ensure that this, new financial instruments does not affect the debt burden of some of the SID countries. So we are discussing with a few SID countries on how to bring debt for climate swaps. We are also trying to work with some of the SID countries on how to provide them with capital markets that would allow them to list green investments. And I'm going to be shortly in Barbados taking a thematic and technical mission around green banks in the SIDS, or in the Caribbean in this case, and hopefully will support the transformation. The GCF private sector facility, which I'm honored to direct, and I have Ayaka, who's a colleague of my unit, as well as Vlad, who is working closely with us on the portfolio management. We are always trying to push the boundaries on innovation for financial instruments, as well as in new thematic areas. And we believe that workshops like these ones are always extremely productive, not only for us to convey some of our lessons learned and to convey some of our content, but also it could be a way to seed project ideas and continue building our portfolio going forward, and continue building our knowledge and impact going forward. So for that, I'm very pleased for the invitation to take part of these opening remarks. I only wish I could stay longer, but for other commitments, I need to go to a few other meetings. But my colleagues, Vlad and Ayaka, will be representing the GCF in all the different sessions. Thank you, Kato-san, for the invitation. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gonzalez, for your nice opening remarks. Then I would like to invite Mr. Gulbis Gunul, Director, Country Engagement and Partnership, International Renewable Energy Agency, ARENA.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kato. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning from Abu Dhabi. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all, together with our partners, to this virtual training workshop focused on climate financing for small islands developing states, towards strengthening the capacity of island nations to improve their access to currently available climate financing. This training is very timely, following the 12th session of ARENA's assembly, which was held last month under the theme Energy Transition from Commitment to Action, where member countries, including various SIDS, highlighted the actions and partnerships needed for the international community to support the achievement of their sustainable development and climate objectives. That's why I thank very much to our partners in collaborating with us in putting this together. And I very warmly greet our partners, Ministry of Environment of Japan, our long-standing partner in organizing similar events in the past, and Mr. Sugimoto is here, and Green Climate Fund, Mr. Gonzalez. Thank you very much to both of you. Distinguished participants, as you are all aware, SIDS have contributed the least to the climate crisis. However, they must bear the disproportionate weight of its impacts. SIDS continue to stress a strong sense of urgency through the ambitious targets set out in the commitments to the Paris Agreement, as reflected in ARENA's NDC analysis that revealed that most of the countries that have committed to 100% renewables in the electricity mix by or before 2030 are actually the small island states. Notwithstanding, it is recognized that the energy transition and climate action will be more expensive for SIDS, as they need significant resources from the international community for building resilience towards increasingly devastating natural disasters. While the IRENA analysis on the first round of NDCs showed that SIDS will need to attract $16 billion by 2030 to achieve the renewable energy targets. But AOSIS, the Alliance for Small Island States, they had projected 10 times more of this is needed to implement the renewable energy targets in the updated NDCs because they have become more ambitious. And because this will include also the need to integrate innovative solutions such as green hydrogen, ocean energy that will address its specific vulnerabilities and local conditions. At recently held high-level dialogues hosted by IRENA through the SIDS Lighthouses initiative, SIDS have reiterated some of the key challenges that limit their ability to attract investment and access to adequate and predictable financing due to bureaucratic processes and eligibility criteria. Furthermore, public financing could be made more efficient with less reliance on traditional instruments such as loans and grants, and to be tailored to specific and special circumstances, and increased availability of risk mitigation solutions along with increased public-private partnerships will be extremely important. Although there is a high interest from investors, SIDS do not present a conducive environment with enabling policies and regulations to attract investment for bankable projects. And these challenges are aggravated by the lack of capacity in SIDS to effectively develop, evaluate, and implement bankable projects that meet the criteria of potential investors and financiers. To address these issues, IRENA have prioritized supporting the development of bankable project pipelines, as well as fostering access to finance and closer cooperation with private sector in SIDS. And in the context of our project facilitation support framework, IRENA's ongoing collaboration with UNDP, SE4All, and the Green Climate Fund under the Climate Investment Platform initiative indeed aims at accelerating investments in renewable energy. And in this effort, IRENA has already been working closely with the member countries, financial institutions, project developers, and the private sector in developing solid project pipelines, assisting in bringing project proposals to bankability and facilitating their access to finance. And very much complementary to this is the Energy Transition Accelerator financing platform, which is a very new initiative, which was launched at COP26 by the United Arab Emirates and IRENA as a new global climate finance facility to accelerate the transition to renewable energy in developing countries. As a Kickstarter or anchor funding, UAE committed $400 million in funding through the Abu Dhabi Fund for Development towards the platform's goal of securing a minimum of $1 billion in total funding. And ITAF, this platform, will build on the lessons learned from the IRENA ADFD facility that has already mobilized $200 million of investment in 180 megawatt of renewable energy installed capacity across SIDS. So, ladies and gentlemen, securing a climate resilient future for SIDS depends on the ability of the global community to step up efforts to provide technical and financial support. As such, IRENA remains committed to leveraging synergies with other partners to streamline such efforts and maximize impact. And I'm hoping that this training will be a useful exercise towards this objective. And I wish you all a very successful training over the next few days that could eventually lead to concrete outcomes on the ground that will be visible and impactful for the SIDS. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gonyul. Fantastic for all the three speakers, organizers, providing really encouraging words of word. Thank you very much. Well, there are air applause to all of you. So thank you so much for the opening speech for Mr. Sugimoto, Mr. Gonzalez, and Mr. Gonyul. Okay, with this, well, we are successfully kicking off all this workshop now. So today we are having lots of speakers and also participants across the world. Unfortunately, some of the participants were unable to make it today due to other priorities. Also, we apologize. Well, we made a bit of confusion about the time setting for the Pacific Islands. Well, but we are recording for this event so that the discussion will be shared to all of them who are registered in this event. So without further ado, thank you very much, Mr. Gonzalez, for your nice comments. Without further ado, I would like to invite the next speaker, who is Mr. Kunihiko Kobayashi, who is actually presenting for the introduction of the workshop with objectives and also overall schedule. Mr. Kobayashi, please.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Could you give me the slides? Okay, thank you. Okay. So hi, I'm Kunihiko Kobayashi from the Overseas Environment Cooperation Center, Japan, the secretariat of this workshop. I would like to briefly explain the objectives and the overall schedule of this workshop. Next slide, please. So far, the Ministry of Environment of Japan and IDENA have been working on the workshop to improve the access to climate finance for government officials and stakeholders in SIDS since 2015. However, due to the impact of COVID-19, it was not possible to hold the workshop in 2020. As the impact of the COVID-19 is still affecting many parts of the world, we have decided to change the format and hold the workshop online. In addition to the Japanese Ministry of Environment and IDENA, the GCF will also be participating as a co-organizing agency. The part of the program will include the preparation of the draft proposal for the GCF. Next slide, please. So we have a schedule of the 4 days starting today and a follow-up on 18th March. So first of all, later today, we will have the brief introduction from the participants, and then we will have some introduction from some of the institutions on climate finance. Next slide, please. On the second day, we have prepared an exercise with a special focusing on the GCF, where participants will be asked to develop a proposal for financing. Next slide, please. The third day, entitled Decarbonization and Adaptation Resilience Solution Showcase, will feature companies with solutions for decarbonization and adaptation to climate change. The IDENA session will follow. Next slide, please. The fourth day will be dedicated to hydrogen with a symposium on application on green hydrogen solution for advancing decarbonization in SIDS. The program is designed to bridge the gap between the supply and demand for green hydrogen. Next slide, please. And we have a follow-up session on the 18th of March, which is 2 weeks after the symposium on the fourth day. In this session, participants will be asked to present their work on the homework that will be given by the maybe GCF on the second day, and will be given the feedback on their work to make it more practical. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is a 5-day program. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact the secretariat via the chat or email. Thank you very much to attend the workshop.
Thank you very much, Kobayashi-san, for your kind introduction to the program of the workshop. We look forward to having exciting discussions and also presentations throughout this workshop. Okay, with this, I would like to invite a self-introduction session today. While we are organizing this event online, so that we cannot meet in person, but I think in different way, we can utilize this opportunity to get to know each other. While you are at home, then you can see virtually your colleagues from the other parts of the world. So colleagues or friends, I would like you to introduce yourself today, because this is also strengthening networks and friendships. This is actually a benefit of having this kind of workshop across the world. So I have a suggestion that we are inviting colleagues by region, so that those who are participating from, for example, Pacific Island countries, also organizations, then you can raise your hand, introduce yourself. If possible, can you turn on your camera, and then we can see you, your face. So now I would like to invite those who participate in this meeting from the Pacific Islands, and Asia and the Pacific Islands. So who is going to be the first? Anybody is okay. So please break the ice. Anybody? Okay. Okay. Aquila, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kato. Hello, everyone. This is Aquila from the Pacific community, based in Suva, Fiji. I'm pleased to be invited to be one of the SPC's representative to this training workshop. And I am the Deputy Director responsible for georesources and energy within our organization, and I look forward to the training in the next 4 days, and then also on the 18th of this month. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aquila. And now, Tessa, raise your hand, please, Tessa.
Hello, everyone. Apologies, my camera doesn't seem to be working. But my name is Tessa. I'm from the Cook Islands, Ministry of Finance and Economic Management, and I am responsible for the Green Climate Fund portfolio under the ministry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another colleague from the Bank of Cook Islands.
Giordana, warm Cook Islands greetings from the Bank of the Cook Islands. I'm Jennifer Henry, and I have our CEO, Vaime Arioka, and our associate, Anna Blassie, and we are presently in the stage 1 accreditation process with the Green Climate Fund. We're very happy to be part of this climate workshop today.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for having a small conference room in your office. Thanks. All right, great. So who's going to go the next from the Pacific Asia? Oh, Stephanie.
We must have a Cook Island thing triggering off from Tessa. Kia ora, welcome from Cook Islands. My name is Stephanie Waitmani. I am the training specialist with the Ministry of Finance and Economic Management here in the Cook Islands, and also working alongside Tessa, we also work with the Bank of the Cook Islands. Kia ora.
Thank you so much. Okay, Sione, Missy?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Maloi Lele and greetings, everyone. This is Sione from the Pacific Community Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, known as PCRE, based in Nuku'alofa, Tonga. Pleased to be here and looking forward for a fruitful training the next 3 days and also the 18th of March. Thank you.
Welcome, Sione. Thank you very much. Any other participants from Asia and Pacific region? Anyone's okay. Okay, then maybe we should turn on to the other parts of the world. Anyone from the Indian Ocean and African region?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Makaku. I'm glad to be participating in this seminar. Myself, I'm Mr. Jahaja from Mauritius, small island in the Indian Ocean, about 500 kilometers east of Madagascar. I'm from the Ministry of Energy and Public Utilities, and looking forward to have a fruitful discussion and working together with colleagues from the different parts of the world, from islands, Caribbean, Pacific. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my friend from Mauritius. Good to know that. Well, we have good representation. Okay, anybody else from the Indian Ocean and African region? Okay, well, we have other registered participants, but probably they're coming maybe tomorrow or later. So let's tune to the Caribbean region. Anyone from the Caribbean islands? Okay.
Hi, good
Yes,
evening.
please. Yes.
My name is Kiran Sentomer. I work with the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, where we represent 8 of the small island developing states, the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, Antigua, Anguilla, Montserrat, Grenada, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm not sure if I'm missing any, but yes, 8 of those. And the lead on renewable energy financing facility initiative that we're currently undertaking in partnership with the World Bank, as well as the greening of the ECCU financial system. So I am definitely looking forward to learning from this week's workshop. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kiran. Okay, who's next?
Hi, everyone.
Yes.
I'm Cheryl Senhouse. I am the Finance Innovation Director with the Caribbean Climate Smart Accelerator. We are a non-governmental organization representing a coalition of 28 countries across the Eastern Caribbean, the English-speaking as well as the Dutch Caribbean, and a few countries in Central and South America. Our objective is to accelerate the climate action across the Caribbean through promoting priority investments in climate-based projects for the region. So it's a pleasure to be here this afternoon or this night, and I look forward to the sessions that will be coming midnight.
Welcome. What time is it there?
It is 11:36
Oh
p.m.
my goodness! Oh my goodness! Thank you so much for sorry for keeping you awake, but I think it's going to be more exciting so that you cannot sleep, right? Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Great. Any other people from the Caribbean or Latin American countries? Okay, Ismail. I think okay, well, I cannot hear you. Could you check your sound system? Okay. While waiting, Will Ismail, I can see your face. But if there is anybody who is actually volunteering, Valerie, please.
Yes, good night to my colleagues. I'm Valerie Pilgrim. I'm from the CARICOM Development Fund, and the CARICOM Development Fund is one of the CARICOM institutions. So we serve the CARICOM member states, and our mission is essentially to assist our member states to increase the level of social and economic cohesion within the CARICOM region. So pleased to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Well, welcome. I think Craig is prepared to speak.
Yeah, hi, good night, everyone. So greetings from Trinidad and Tobago. It's actually still February in Trinidad and Tobago. It's 11 to 9 p.m. in February. Yeah, so I'm from the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries. We are responsible for right now we're in the stage where we're implementing and planning a lot of our projects. So climate finance is a very important part of what we're doing. We have tried to build capacity. I know I have some colleagues here who will give more information as we go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I have Kishan with your hand up.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Kishan Kumar Singh from Trinidad and Tobago. I'm from the Ministry of Planning and Development. I am the head of multilateral environmental agreements at the ministry and overall coordinator of things climate change in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as part of the GCF NDA for Trinidad and Tobago. Nice to be here and looking forward to learning more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. For I remember, Bo, you're my actually substa chair, but I was a little bit. You have developed a nice mustache and beard, so that it's also nice to see you in different mode. Okay, and Eugene, please.
Hi, good night or good morning, depending on where you are. Like my colleague Valerie, I am from the CARICOM Development Fund, and currently we are at stage 2 institutional accreditation to the GCF. So I'm looking to get some more insight and information as to how we can develop projects in a pipeline to access funding from the GCF or other multilateral agencies.
Thank you very much, Eugene. Well, I think this is a really good opportunity for us to start for developing good project proposals. Okay. Yes. Oh, Kishan, well, you have grown beard. Yes. Ismail, are you ready with your microphone?
Hi. Yes. Is it work?
Yes.
Hi, so I'm Ismail Tawal. I'm from Belize here in the Caribbean. I represent the Protected Areas Conservation Trust, PAC for short. It's a government entity. We received our accreditation to the GCF back in 2018. So I'm looking forward to the 3-day workshop.
All right, thank you very much. Well, welcome to the workshop, and I really looking forward to your contribution as well as experiences as AE. Okay, anybody else who want to speak up? Okay, Hannibal.
Hi, good night, everyone. My name is Hannibal Anita. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, also the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries. We are currently in the phase of implementing a number of projects, including some legislative changes as well as projects on the ground. So we are very interested in this workshop over the next 2 or 3 days And thanks again, Irina, for giving us this opportunity to participate. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your participation. Well, despite this maybe crazy time setting for you, but I really hope we can exchange our views and also wisdoms to be shared with other colleagues as well. All right. Anybody else? Okay, so I think this is a really good start to we have broken the ice as a start, and also I think it's good to see each other online. Although, are there anybody who wants to speak from the organized side or the International Development Cooperation partner side? Yes. Okay, if not, oh, okay. Well, there. Okay, Yagasa-san, please.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to say hello and thank you for participating across the different time zones. And my name is Ran Yagasa with the Ministry of Environment of Japan. I'm responsible for international cooperation and sustainable infrastructure, also GCF. And we are looking forward to the discussions in the coming days. And thank you all. And that'll be all.
Thank you very much, Yagasa-san. Vlad.
Thank you very much, Kato-san, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the participants. My name is Vlad Arnoldo from the Green Climate Fund. I'm a Senior Quality Assurance and M&A Specialist with the Division of Portfolio Management of the fund, and I've worked with many of you already over the past few years. Very happy to have all of you here. Looking forward to your participation in this webinar, and hope that the information and support that will be provided here will be really helpful for all of you. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. And Fujiwara-san, your hands up.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Ayaka Fujiwara. I'm a climate investment specialist at the private sector facility of the fund. It's a pleasure to be here. I look forward to interacting with a lot of you regarding our potential pipelines and so on. Traditionally, private sector facility has found some of the excellent ideas through this workshop, and I'm sure this year is not going to be the exception. So I look forward to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your continued cooperation and contribution. Arieta.
Thank you, Kato-san. Good morning from Abu Dhabi, Mbulubinaka. Arieta Ngonilevu, and I'm responsible for supporting SIDS energy transition through the SIDS Lighthouses initiative at IRENA. All the best and looking forward to our deliberations and fruitful discussions. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Arieta. Joseph, from Trinidad and Tobago, would you like to speak out?
Yes, certainly. Good night. Good night to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I join with my colleagues from the Ministry of Energy in Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Hannibal Anika and Mr. Craig Boudou, in participating in this workshop. For me, it's a capacity building phase. We have several renewable energy projects ongoing, and obviously this will probably serve to complement what we would like to probably do now and also in the future as well. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Glad to know that you're there with us. Oh, there's another hand up from the MOJ. Okay,
hello everyone. Yeah, my name is Kokoro Kikuchi from Ministry of the Environment of Japan. I'm a colleague of Yagasa-san, and I'm also in charge of this workshop, and also I'm in charge of promoting decarbonization in international decarbonization in especially ASEAN countries. And I hope this workshop will be meaningful to all the participants. Thank you. And my colleague also.
Okay.
Good morning. Good afternoon. This is another person from the MOE Japan. I'm Satoshi Watanabe, in charge of inclusive international cooperation thing on climate change and about the related environmental things. So today, yeah, I am so happy to be here, and I expect great, fluent discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kikuchi-san and Watanabe-san. Watanabe-san is actually delivering a presentation slightly later in today's session. All right. Okay. So I think we have done it. And then just one more thing. If possible, could you turn on your camera, and we want to take group photo, couple of group photos. So just for your memory. All right. Great. People are there around the world. Midnight, very early morning, lunchtime, but we are here in the planet, the same planet. Okay, so I will invite like 5 shots for a picture. So, all right. So 1, 2, 3. The first shot. All right, big smile. Okay, the second one. 1, 2, 3. Great smiles. The third one. 1, 2, 3. All right. The fourth one, a little bit funny face. A joke. All right, yeah. Stephanie, well, you're good. Okay, the final one. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much for giving us, for sending your great smile to the other parts of the world. Thank you. All right, so without further ado, we would like to dive into the substantive part of the presentation discussion. So today we are having introduction of the climate finance, and there are many different schemes and modality of funding and finance. And today we have excellent speakers to introduce some of them. As the first speaker, as I mentioned, I would like to invite Mr. Satoshi Watanabe, Deputy Director, International Cooperation in Sustainable Infrastructure Office, Global Environmental Bureau of the Ministry of the Environment, Japan. Watanabe-san, you're welcome to start your presentation.
Thank you very much, Kato-san, and everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. This is Satoshi Watanabe speaking, Ministry of the Environment, Japan. So today, in this session, I would like to introduce our financial mechanism, the Joint Credit Mechanism, JCM, about the one of a good financial scheme for the introduction of decarbonizing infrastructure, especially to the Asia Pacific and developing countries. Next slide, please. So this is the about the background information. This is the GHG emission in Japan with new targets for 2030 and 2050. And Japan's new long-term goal is net zero carbon neutrality by fiscal year 2050, and a new midterm target is 46% reduction by fiscal year 2030. And Joint Credit Mechanism, JCM, has set a new target for the new midterm target, and that is 100 million tons of CO2 reduction cumulatively by 2030. So there is expected approximately 20 million tons of CO2 reduction cumulatively by 2030 from current 200 over JCM projects. So we need to expand 5 times more from current level, roughly. Next slide, please. This is the basic concept of the JCM. The market mechanism includes the JCM was attributed under the Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, and it is decided to conclude the Paris Rulebook, including Article 6 at the COP26 in last year. The market mechanism includes JCM is not only for GHG emission reduction, but also for the sustainable development of the partner countries. Under the JCM, Japan supports JCM partner countries by providing decarbonizing technologies, together with operating joint committee to examine its GHG emission reduction to share the credit in future. The JCM itself is not only providing decarbonizing technologies for partner countries for GHG emission reduction, but also contribute Japan and partner countries' NDC's emission reduction target in line with Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. So next slide, please. This slide shows 17 JCM partner countries, with it mainly Asia Pacific countries. Next slide, please. And the JCM has three, this slide will be emerging. So please skip next slide, please. JCM has 3 financing programs by MOEJ. JCM's major financing project is coming from JCM model projects. And the new project number is next fiscal year is expected to be doubled. And the budget for next fiscal year will be significantly strengthened together with the conclusion of the Article 6. Next slide, please. So this is the latest JCM model project distribution map in worldwide by MOE Japan. So since 2013, there are approximately over 200 projects to be made within this year. And the total cumulative GHG reduction by 2030 will be around 20 million tons of CO2. Next slide, please. So there are some of the concrete examples made under JCM. So there has been provided variety of decarbonizing technologies in line with partner countries' needs. Japan not only supports this cooperation by providing decarbonizing technologies, but also support measurement, reporting, and verification, that is MRV, of the GHG emission reduction in quantitative manner, together by formulating joint committee with the partner countries. So next slide, please. So this is the second JCM financial schemes, that is ADB Trust Fund. Financial support scheme for JCM is not only formulated by Japanese government, but also led by Asian Development Bank, ADB. So this trust fund contributed from Japan from JCM has been set in ADB. And the fund has been providing financial support for ADB's financial projects in Asia. Next slide, please. So this slide is about the proportion of JCM technologies. The major decarbonizing technologies supported by the JCM project are renewable energies, blue one, and energy efficiency, red one. However, together with the expansion and the development of the JCM, there has been emerging other areas such as waste management, transportation, and so on. Next slide, please. So this slide is about the JCM model project being implemented in Palau. There are 5 JCM model projects in Palau, and our project is solar power system. So we also want to support other advanced technologies through the JCM for the Palau country. So next slide, please. So this slide is about the JCM project being implemented in Maldives. There are 3 projects in Maldives, and 1 JCM project and 2 JFJCM ADB Trust Fund projects. 2 projects are solar PV and 1 waste to energy project, W2E. So we also want to support other advanced technologies through JCM for Maldives countries' needs. So next slide, please. Just after the COP26 in last year, Ministry of the Environment Japan has announced 3 actions for implementation of the Article 6 together with the experience of the JCM. The first action is accelerating negotiations for expansion of JCM partner countries, including in the Indo-Pacific region, and strengthen the implementation in African region. The second action is expanding further private finance for JCM project expansions. And the third action is contribution for the global operationalization of market mechanisms, such as for capacity building support for those needed countries and organizations, together with cooperation with Regional Collaboration Center of UNFCCC. Next slide, please. This is the final slide of my presentation. Let me share the latest progress of the implementation of the Article 6 rule into Japanese domestic JCM rules. This JCM Promotion and Utilization Council, the main duties are authorization of JCM credits and applying the corresponding adjustment. Those draft documents for authorization of JCM credits and applying corresponding adjustment are currently under the public consultation in Japan, public consultation process by March this year. So my presentation is over, so let me conclude my presentations. Ministry of the Environment Japan would like to contribute decarbonizing achievement of decarbonizing society, not only in Japan but also in developing countries. Through introduction of decarbonizing infrastructure to the developing countries through the JCM schemes, as I explained. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Watanabe-san, for walking us through the joint crediting mechanism and its practices. While we would like to raise some questions at this point of time, let us save those questions until the end of the session for question and answers time. Thank you very much, Watanabe-san, again. Now, I would like to invite the next speaker, Ms. Nadia Muhammad, Program Officer, SIDS Lighthouse for IRENA. Well, she's talking about SIDS Lighthouse Initiative. Nadia, please.
Thank you, and good morning, good afternoon, and good night to everyone. My presentation today will provide an overview of the SIDS Lighthouses Initiative and IRENA's support to small island developing states in their energy transition and climate action, with a focus on improving access to finance. Next slide, please. So as we know, renewable energy and energy efficiency lies at the heart of the energy transition and climate goals. And as we look holistically at the range of energy solutions to meet climate objectives under a 1.5 degrees Celsius scenario, we see that renewables need to be complemented by energy efficiency, electrification in end-use sectors such as transport and buildings, as well as carbon capture and storage. And this is based on IRENA's World Energy Transition Outlook. Also, we see that green hydrogen is likely to be a key part of future energy, the cleaner alternative to fossil fuels. So most of these technologies mentioned are available now, and it's important to ensure that all countries and regions have an opportunity to participate and realize the benefits of the global energy transition. So because of this, IRENA strives towards global membership so that SIDS, as well as least developing countries, can benefit from technical assistance and advisory services that IRENA provides. Next slide, please. So since its inception, IRENA has focused on catering to SIDS energy transition through tailored support. And to address the unique circumstances and the specific needs of SIDS, IRENA established the SIDS Lighthouses Initiative as a framework for action. And our aim is to accelerate the uptake of renewable energy by SIDS and to support the decarbonization of their economies. So our activities are spread across 11 priority areas of intervention, which range from supporting NDC enhancement and implementation, as well as capacity building, to the crucial nexus between renewable energy and various sustainable development goals, as well as decarbonizing transport and other end-use sectors. In particular, we've placed emphasis on improving access to finance, which is the focus of this training. Next slide, please. In terms of our geographic reach, the SIDS Lighthouses Initiative is currently comprised of 38 countries, 38 SIDS across 3 regions, namely the Caribbean, the Pacific, and the Atlantic and Indian Ocean states. And also part of this collaboration are 31 non-SIDS countries and partner organizations. And together under this partnership, we've set a target to achieve a total installed renewable energy capacity of 10 gigawatts for all SIDS by 2030. And this target is consistent with trends seen in SIDS over the last 8 years. Next slide. On this slide, we can see a steady growth in installed capacity in islands from 2014 to 2020. And according to IRENA's data, at the end of 2020, the total installed capacity was estimated at about 5.9 gigawatts. On the right-hand side, we see that SIDS have continued to increase their uptake of renewables in the electricity sector despite the ongoing pandemic. And we see new installations in 2020 consisting of 180 megawatts of solar PV and 110 megawatts of bioenergy. We also observed that the growth in other renewables such as hydropower, wind, and geothermal remained relatively stagnant during 2020 compared to previous years. Next slide. Overall, we anticipate that the growth in renewables will continue to accelerate by 2030 and 2050, and this is driven largely by countries' commitments to the Paris Agreement, specifically to reduce carbon emissions to limit the temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And according to the IPCC, in order to reach this 1.5 Celsius goal, total greenhouse gas emissions need to reach net zero by around 2050. And this slide showcases the different stages that SIDS are at with respect to net zero commitments. For SIDS and other countries, renewable energy remains a key option for achieving the energy sector climate goals. And as was previously mentioned by our director, SIDS represent the majority of the countries that have committed to 100% renewables in their electricity mix by 2030, by or before 2030. So they will need to attract a significant amount, and the figure that we estimated was about $16 billion to achieve their renewable energy targets. And that is based on the first round of NDCs, and this estimate is projected to be 10 times more for the updated NDCs. Next slide, please. Over the years, declining costs make renewable energy technologies a cost-effective investment in SIDS, and we see global trends showing that renewables are becoming more and more competitive in the energy landscape. For solar and wind power technologies in particular, there was a dramatic improvement in their competitiveness over the last decade. As costs have reduced by 50% and more from 2010 to 2020. But despite the cost reductions, the landed cost of technologies in SIDS is actually higher compared to major economies, and the high upfront capital investments present a major barrier for SIDS in their uptake of renewables. And this is something that we strive to address. Next slide, please. So other barriers to renewable energy development in SIDS occur from the institutional, policy, and regulatory level to the market and project level. And specifically at the project level, there's a lack of market transparency. There's also a lack of pipeline of attractive renewable energy projects that fit with the financing institutions' criteria. And there's a lack of relevant information on regulations, markets, and resource availability. And we see that this has led to a mismatch between the supply of capital and the demand for finance from project proponents. And this results in a trajectory that will not be able to fulfill the sustainable development and climate objectives by 2030. So to address some of these key barriers, next slide, please. IRENA offers tools and services to help foster the energy transformation in SIDS. Renewable readiness assessments and quick scans, for example, assess the degree of readiness of a country towards large-scale development of renewable energy. Grid integration analysis supports our member states in integrating renewable energy generation in already existing grid infrastructure. Renewable energy roadmaps, on the one hand, are a tool to support SIDS in attaining their renewable energy goals, whereas our climate action support describes our line of support towards SIDS NDC enhancement and implementation. Additionally, next slide, tailored capacity building support has been focused on several areas, including but not limited to energy management and auditing, technical webinars on renewable energy technologies such as ocean energy, data and statistics support, including data collection and GHG estimation. We also provide capacity building support on the development of bankable power purchase agreements, bankable bioenergy projects in Cuba, for example, as well as the development of bankable concept notes for climate finance. And this is just to name a few. Next slide, please. Finally, IRENA, through the SIDS Lighthouses initiative, also works on facilitating access to finance and project implementation on the ground through the climate investment platform, as well as the ETAF, which was previously mentioned by our director. And this will be complemented by sub-regional investment forums. And these investment forums aim to facilitate the matchmaking of projects and promote dialogue on how to improve investment conditions. And also it will feature capacity building activities, which would be tailored to each sub-region. Next slide, please. So to specifically address the project level barriers that I mentioned earlier, IRENA has initiated the climate investment platform, and the aim is to create a pipeline of investments in mature projects. And this is done by actively supporting early stage project development and by assisting project developers to access appropriate funding opportunities. To date, we have 265 projects that have registered and requested support under the platform, and we also have 289 registered partners that can provide financial and technical support for these projects. Currently, IRENA has provided technical and financial matchmaking support for over 33 projects, including 3 projects in SIDS, namely rural electrification projects in Haiti, Kiribati, and Vanuatu. And we'll continue to expand our scope of technical support and partners in an effort to target smaller scale projects which are widely developed in SIDS. Next slide, please. The ETAF, which was also mentioned, works in tandem with the CIP to accelerate the energy transition by mobilizing and channeling finance from institutions such as development finance institutions, multilateral development banks, regional and local financial institutions, and private sector, as well as matchmaking funding with commercially feasible renewable energy projects that will meet ETAF's funding partners' internal credit and investment frameworks. So in summary, the CIP and the ETAF form a key part of our support to simplify access to climate finance and to catalyze investment for mitigation and adaptation in SIDS. And we will elaborate on the CIP and ETAF in day 2 of this workshop. Next slide, please. So lastly, given the focus on green hydrogen in day 4 of this workshop, I wanted to introduce IRENA's collaborative framework on green hydrogen. As mentioned earlier, many countries have identified hydrogen as a high priority due to its potential role as an energy carrier to integrate renewables and more broadly support their energy transition. This collaborative framework was established to bring countries together to discuss their barriers and identify opportunities for accelerating green hydrogen. And during 2021, the framework's work has focused on infrastructure, investment, and certification aspects needed to enable the global hydrogen trade, as well as the enabling measures that are needed to achieve a large-scale deployment. And we actually have SIDS such as Antigua and Barbuda and Palau, who are exploring the feasibility of hydrogen through IRENA's technical support, and they're exploring the feasibility of achieving their energy targets with the use of green hydrogen. And we look forward to presenting some of these key findings of this work during the symposium on day 4. Next slide, please. So this brings me to the end of the presentation. Thank you for your attention, and we'd be happy to take any questions that you may have at the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. It's been very exciting to see what's happening around for the ARENA activities, and especially SIDS context. So I think I really agree with you that SIDS are making great efforts for amazingly like net zero declaration, and also some countries really already it's happening. And also you provided a really good preview for the information that will be presented for in the latter half of this workshop. So I really look forward to your presentation and also discussion later in this workshop. Thank you for your presentation. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Koji Mitomori, who is the Director of Office for Climate Change, Global Environmental Department for Japan International Organization, Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA. Mitomori-san, can I have you?
Thank you very much, Mr. Kato, for joining me. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. And actually, yeah, it's very honor to be here, to having me to explain and present from JICA. And actually, JICA is the governmental cooperation agency of Japan. And actually, we work very closely with Ministry of Environment Japan and also the Kato-san's organization, OECC, for our cooperation to various countries. And today, let me talk as a theme. Support to climate change, especially focusing on Pacific region. And I'll try to touch on the climate finance and also some mitigation measures. So next, please. Yes, and the actually JICA support focusing very much try to in line with Paris Agreement and SDGs goals 13 and also Sendai framework. And they actually Japan, as Ministry of Environment Japan explained, support of the 6.5 trillion, about 60 billion US dollar support and plus 10 billion US dollar for 5 years in COP26. And actually, JICA is trying to contribute quite huge amount through our cooperation, since JICA is supporting loan project, grant, and technical cooperation. So, and also we are very much focusing on the carbon neutrality declaration of Japan, and also try to promote or support carbon neutrality of the our partner countries, like those who pledged in COP26. Next, please. And the last year, we prepared our strategy based on the current very rapidly changing situation on climate change. And we prepared our strategy we call Global Agenda on Climate Change. And we have two objectives: to support developing countries to build sustainable and climate resilient society. And the second is to contribute to achieving international development goals such as SDGs and UNFCCC, especially Paris Agreement. And under that, we have two pillars. We call it clusters. And the first one is the promotion of the Paris Agreement and the supporting for MDC or long-term strategy, or like a reporting, BTR or GHG inventory. And we are targeting, try to increase the number of countries and also the beneficiaries to be trained. And the second one is co-benefit with development. So address development challenges while measures to address climate change issues, like introduction of the renewable energies projects, and also creation of the master plan or the model shift from the vehicle to like public transport. And we try to put our target for GHG emission reduction amount, and also the adaptation scale up and the climate budget increase. That is the our target. So next, please. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. So then I want to try to talk three things today. The first, I want to talk the power projects in Pacific. And the second is technical cooperation, capacity development related to climate change, and also access to climate fund is the last part. So next, please. And the we have one project or called program, Green Power Island Program, targeting many countries in Pacific countries. And we focusing three things. The bottom says the bolstering capacity of the effective power utilities. So of course, first need to introduce the renewable energies. And the second one, maximize adoption to renewable energies. So like a fluctuation of the supply, or to respond to that, we create or the support improve the system. And this third one is the developing know-how in other regions. So sharing the experience with other region or countries. That is the focus of this project. Next, please. And this is the example of sharing knowledge. Our main counterpart is in Fiji, and we work closely with Fiji, but at the same time we invite our member countries and to share the knowledge, not only the experience in Japan and also as well developed in Fiji. So that is the a cycle of the knowledge sharing, and also we got the response from the participating countries. So next, please. And actually, this is very small, but no need to look in details. But based on that, we try to support not only specific countries, but also expand our cooperation to various countries. The first upper part is the Fiji, and also we have Tuvalu, Micronesia, or the Tonga, or the so many. We try to target the renewable energy percentage as well. So we both try to scale up and also continuously support this region for mitigation part. Next, please. And the next is the corrective support for Paris Agreement implementation through capacity building. So next, please. We have technical cooperation, so targeting the Pacific Island, and we support the overcome the vulnerability of the Pacific Island countries and communities through the capacity building. And we have we expect dispatch the expert to Samoa, and also technical cooperation project is ongoing. Actually, we got the support from Ministry of Environment Japan, and the officials now doing the project activity as expert. And also we can support the grant aid through grant aid for the climate change center for establishment. So next, please. And actually, this is the project, and we target 40 countries eligible for Japanese ODAs, and we support till this year. And the project purposes training function of the PCCC is operationalized. So PCCC is the Pacific Climate Change Center, and to the development of the capacity. So yes, next, please. And we support climate science and risk assessment, and also priority activities. So we put the metrics and the support for the those countries, like in the field of disaster risk reduction, environment, health, tourism, transport, infrastructure, agriculture. Those, but it's the in focus. So next, please. And the next is the access to climate fund. We are supporting to capacity development, the access to climate funds. And next, please. A lot of our words, but this is the training course we just started this year, and this is the for the especially aiming to improve the capacity to prepare concept note to submitting to GCF. So, so we have the lecture on the international framework or trend of the climate change, and also that we have very practical lecture or the workshop to how to prepare the concept note or the submitting to apply for the climate fund, theory of what is theory of change, or the rationality of the adaptation, or those things we learned from our experience. And we invite UNDP, and also we got the support from the GCF. And actually this year we invited got the participants from Philippines, Eswatini, Mozambique, Zambia, Kosovo, Montenegro, and so forth. Unfortunately, we have no participants from Pacific region, but hope next year or next year. And the JICA is placed as a accredited entity since 2017. So we are trying to, we can support any size of the project, large, medium, small, and the environment scale. We can also support the category A project. But at this moment, sorry, next slide, please. Yes, this is the JICA's TCF partnership. So, we are currently working as accredited entity. Next, please. And our focus is the, of course, sites and LDCs or those countries, and especially we are trying to maximize our outcomes by leveraging GCF and the JICA resources. That is our current focus, and strengthen capacity development of developing countries through access to climate finance, like I said in the training, and contribute to global knowledge sharing with lessons and evidence from Japan's experience and technology. So that is our strategic objectives. And the next, please. And this is the case of our project. Actually, we have at this moment we have two projects have approved, and this is the adaptation project to Maldives, and we want to try to have more projects to be approved through the GCF. So next, please. So for the wrap up. So we JICA support the Paris Agreement promotion, capacity development, and the technical cooperation project or the training course in Japan, and the co-benefit approach. So we support mitigation, like energy projects, and the adaptation also our focus, and the access to climate finance capacity development. That is also very important, not only just promoting the project, but the capacity development is also very, very important. That is our point. So, and the cooperation based on the Japan's strength and the training or Japanese experience, and that is also the feature of the support of JICA. And we want to try to strengthen the network and also utilize localized know-how, like what we have done in Fiji. So that is all my point. So next, please. So thank you very much for your listening. So that is the end of my presentation. Back to Kato-san.
Thank you very much, Mitomori-san, for introducing the multiple schemes and efforts that are in place, and also expanding through JICA's cooperation. And it's very exciting that our Prime Minister announced a big pledge in COP26, and I trust JICA is also already implementing and also preparing for the increased cooperation with developing country partners. And I think climate front, you're the one who is actually coordinating with the big efforts within JICA and also with partner countries. So congratulations for your excellent presentation. Thank you very much. Now, I am inviting Ms. Kaoru Yamaguchi. She is speaking to Climate Technology Center Network, CTCN. Yamaguchi-san, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready whenever the presentation is up.
Okay, it's coming up.
All right, thank you very much, Kato-san, for that introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Kaoru Yamaguchi from Global Environment Center Foundation based in Tokyo. I have been following CTCN's work as well as UNFCCC's negotiations around CTCN for the last 3 years as a supportive role for the Ministry of the Environment, Japan. And I'm very excited to talk to you about CTCN and what they do in this presentation. So next slide, please. So in 2010, the Conference of the Parties to the UNFCCC decided to establish what it's called the technology mechanism to accelerate technology development and transfer. Technology mechanism is consisted of 2 sibling bodies, one of which is Climate Technology Center and Network CTCN, which is I'm going to spend some time discussing with you today. So CTCN's main objective is to deliver mostly 3 services: technical assistance, international collaboration opportunities, and capacity building opportunities. And the first item, which is today's focus, is providing technical assistance, or it's also called TA. TA is provided in response to requests submitted from developing nations around the world, and it is for both mitigation and adaptation technical needs. Receiving TA is of course free, but the budget of each project is limited to $250,000 US. So this may seem a bit limited to you, but it is good to know this piece of information so that you can think of how to maximize the value of each dollar. Specifically, it is generally a good idea to try to not stretch out your TA project too thin by trying to do too many things in just one TA. Instead, personally, I think you can make best out of your TA by having a clear long or medium term goal for technology development and transfer, and using TA as sort of a starting point for that path. And I can talk about a little bit more on that point in my later slides. And of course, TA is also an effective way to address immediate technical needs as well, since technical assistance request to implementation process is relatively short. And just to add a few more points to that, to TA, TAs can address local, national, or even regional levels needs, and the recipients can be academics, civil society, public or private sector entities. And CTCN is also a great hub for international collaboration opportunities, capacity buildings. They're always doing web online events, as well as before COVID in-person events as well. You can visit CTCN's website for more information on those 2 last topics. Next slide, please. So let's bring our attention back to the TA, which is really the crux of CTCN's work. And here I'm showing you the flow of a TA from request to implementation, because knowing this information gives you a great advantage in navigating this process. So first, any organization who wishes to request TA from CTCN should consult with their country's National Designated Entity, or NDE. As noted in the box below on the left side, an NDE is usually a ministry who is in charge of energy or perhaps climate change related agenda or tasks, and there's one NDE in each country. Then after below number 2, NDE looks at the detail of the request and makes sure that it's aligned with the national climate priorities. This is an important key for successful assistance requests, since CTCN's goal is to help countries push their mitigation or adaptation agenda forward, and not necessarily to help individual companies or individual sectors per se. So this means making sure that the content of the request matches with national development plan or climate mitigation adaptation strategies or plans or other documents such as TNA and NAP. And once the request is accepted by CTCN, meaning CTCN, will develop a technology transfer plan to respond to your request. And then CTCN will put out a call for proposal to select a project implementer from their pool of over 600 members from around the world. And just to, as a side note, the OECC today's event organizer, as well as my organization, Global Environment Center Foundation, are also member of CTCN. And next slide, please. So let's shift our focus a little bit to recent trends of TAs in small island nations. And looking at today's participants, I might have missed a few countries, so I'd like to apologize for that if this is not a true representation of the trends in TAs in since CTCN's inception. But nonetheless, I think this is paints a pretty good picture of the mixture of different projects that have happened in small island nations so far. So in my estimation, there have been about 12 TA projects for small island nations. And among these 12, 7 of them were mitigation related projects for adaptation, and 1 both mitigation and adaptation projects. And the summaries are shown in the boxes on the right side, and I'll show you some of the examples of these projects in the next slide, please. Thank you. So for a project that covered both mitigation and adaptation, it was a TNA development project for Cook Islands. And in the middle box for adaptation, it was a capacity building project for coastal zone risk assessment, and it involved multiple countries. Specifically, it helped countries learn how to assemble and analyze all available coastal terrain and bathymetric data, and use that information to reflect on their national policies and adaptation strategies. And lastly, on the right-hand side box is an example of a mitigation project. This project is currently, I believe, taking place in Nauru to investigate the feasibility of ocean energy technology to produce electricity. This is also an interesting case because this is not just a technical project where it ends when the final product is delivered, but it also involves collecting necessary information to then develop a concept note for GCF project. So as I mentioned earlier, I think this is a great example of making best of limited budget of TA by having a clear path of bringing a new technology to your country, in this case, an ocean energy plant, and using CTCN's TA's work in order to do the preparatory work to then scale it up to a larger project in the future. Next slide, please. And I would like to conclude my presentation by sharing some ideas for your TAs from other regions in the world. Starting with the left side, upper left side, some prominent examples from the last few years. Natural resource management, nature-based solutions, and circular economy projects. They're pretty straightforward. There have been some water management projects in Belize and Namibia, and agroforestry strategy in Kenya, and circular economy roadmap development for Zimbabwe and Costa Rica. But if you shift your focus to the top, the center top box, CTCN has also been supporting new and emerging technologies as well, such as developing a master plan for Laos to produce and utilize green hydrogen made from renewable energy. I put this project here because I heard that there will be some sessions focused on green hydrogen during this workshop. So just to show you that CTCN can also support these relatively new emerging technologies as well. The same goes for the e-mobility project roadmap for Panama and development of digital agrometeorological information tool for Mali. to conclude, TA is a powerful tool despite the size of the budget that can address wide range of technical needs. As I shown in my last previous slides, there have been already many different kinds of projects in small island nations. There have been so many more if you look at globally. So the possibilities are immense, and the power of TA really shines, I think, most when it used as sort of a launching pad for introducing new technology or upscaling existing technology. And it can make significant difference in the long run. And especially, as I mentioned, if you use TA as sort of a starting point, a launching pad for a bigger, longer term goals and goal or long-term strategy. So that's all I wanted to share with you. And if you could go to the next slide. This concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to take any questions from you, or there's my email address listed on this slide as well. If you have like to contact me at some time later, I'll be happy to chat with you as well. So thank you again for the time, and back to you, Kato-san.
Thank you very much, Yamaguchi-san, for your kind introduction. I really agree with you that we should use CTC and bit of finance for in a very strategic way. The benefit of having with this TA is it's powerful, but it's very quick. Quick delivery is actually one of the significant characteristic of CTC and fund. So Nauru project for OTEC fund, actually I'm engaged in this project as part of the network member. And we have Nauruan government and also ECC utilize for this finance for the TA pre-feasibility study to prepare for the concept note for Green Climate Fund. And that fund to the Nauruan government, well, it came very quick. Then the government of Nauru is preparing for, we're getting ready for their proposal. First, with the development of concept note. So I think this is a good example for other countries may learn from. Thank you very much, Yamaguchi-san. So later, we would like to engage a discussion with you. Now, the final presenter is Ms. Ayaka Fujiwara. Fujiwara-san. May I have you?
Yes.
Start.
Thank you so much. All right, I'm just waiting for the presentation to be shown.
Okay, it's coming up.
Great, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Ayaka, Climate Investment Specialist from the Private Sector Facility. And my email address is shown over here. Thank you. The Green Climate Fund, as you may know, is an operating entity of the United Nations Framework for Convention on Climate Change. And I'm really pleased to be here, and I'm really happy that I see some of the familiar names in the participants list. So I look forward to interacting with you. Next slide, please. Okay, by the way of introduction, Private Sector Facility is one of the two arms of the GCF, the public and private sector. And but here in the Private Sector Facility, we focus exclusively on climate projects in the private sector. So you will see over here the Private Sector Facilities portfolio, we have 39 projects and fund approved, and proud to say that we have financed 3.4 billion in total, with the co-financing amount of 11.1 billion. So I would say per $1 of our GCF investment, we are catalyzing around 3 to 4 times of either private sector or other concessional financiers' patient capital. And we have reached out to 126.1 million beneficiaries and contributed to 0.67 gigatons of GHG reductions. So a tad proud of that. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. So GCF was established in 2010, but it really became operational in 2015. So we've been operational for almost 7 years. We're a relatively young organization, but we're really trying hard to accommodate as many great climate investment ideas as possible. So until this date, we have approved 190 projects. So this is the total of public and private sector. That's why you see more number over here. And we have approved, 10 billion that's committed. And we're just in the middle of fundraising from the government as we run out of the commitment capital that we have fundraised over the past few years. Thank you. And next slide, please. Okay, so private sector facility, I want to take a moment and explain to you what we do over here. So the kind of impact we fund, like kind of a climate investment that we fund has to be high impact, transformative, and innovative. That serves the priority in the target countries. So in injecting our capital in the project, we do not mind coming in necessarily as the first loss provider. We're aware that we're the patient capital, and we know that oftentimes that patient capital is needed, especially when materializing an innovative project for the first time. And especially in climate investment, in some of the areas, we do not have necessarily a lot of track record. So this means that the GCF is often there in the project to take a subordinated position compared to private sector participants, such as when private sector participants are coming in to provide senior loans, we can provide junior loans or even equity, depending on the structure of the deal. But we're there to comfort the private sector participants enough so that they can be comfortable to participate in the climate investment that is targeted. Okay, please move on to the next slide. Thank you. And so that's basically summarized over here. So these are our 4 approaches in investing into transformational climate projects. So we've got the transformational planning and programming, because we aim for an innovation and something that transforms and is also replicable in one country. We catalyze climate innovation. We try to de-risk, as previously said, we de-risk investment to mobilize private sector finance at scale. And for that, we don't mind being the concessional finance provider or patient capital. And we are also mainstreaming climate risks and opportunities into investment decision making. Okay. Right, thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is our vision, which is based on 6 collaborative approaches. So we select our project based on if it is driven by the country, if it is focused on climate impact, how innovative and risk-taking it is, if the project is a mitigation or adaptation. I'm gonna comment on it in a little bit, or if it mobilizes a lot of private sector financiers that have not been active in that field, or if it supports country readiness and direct access. Just wanted to take a few moments to comment on the mitigation and adaptation bit. So we continue to hold a strong commitment to invest more in adaptation field, especially after the heavy loading of our portfolio in the private sector in the renewable energy and the mitigation areas, which was what was available for us in the first 6 years of the operations, but we are increasingly becoming aware of the importance of adaptation in developing countries. And as we gear up for the investment in 2022, 2023, we are actively looking at adaptation projects. And this is something that you will find in the private sector strategy, which will be released after the board meeting later this month. So if you're interested, I recommend you also have a look at that. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, and so this slide is an important one, so I wanted to take a moment to explain to you what this is. So this is essentially a summary of how we select projects in GCF. So unlike the World Bank or ADB, we're not a development finance institution. We're focusing especially on climate, and our focus is climate and the impact that has to the developing countries. So whenever we select a project, we really need a strong climate rationale, and that is key to for the project to be selected. We need the scientific evidence that will be fully reviewed by our experts in the interdivisional team, and we need the additionality. We need to know that the GCF is actually needed and adding value to the project, and it cannot otherwise happen in the private sector participants alone, because one way or the other, like I said before, whenever these innovative projects try to be out there in the world, a lot of times private sector investors are a little bit more hesitant to take the risks. So that kind of rationale has to be very clear to us. And we also ask for a country-driven approach, because each of the projects has to align with the national development contributions. So at the end of the day, whenever the project goes to the board meeting to be approved, we need the no objection letter to be there, meaning that indicating that the country supports the investment to that project. This is irrelevant to if the project is coming from private sector or public. Okay, so the 6 investment. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's good. So the 8 results areas of GCF is if you can maybe click. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. The result areas are energy, transport, forest, and land use, as well as building, which are in the mitigation area. And resilient infrastructure, resilient ecosystem, and livelihood and health and water security are more in the adaptation area. Yeah, thank you. Moving on to the next slide. Yeah, we can move on to the next slide. I'm just conscious of the time. We collaborate. We are a partnership organization that collaborates with numerous institutions called accredited entities, and we have over 100 institutions, global and local institutions that help us deliver on the project. Next slide. And annually we hold a conference that is held in October, and that focuses on private sector climate investment only. Next slide. Kato-san, do I still have some time to walk through the audience on a couple of projects, or is my time up?
Yeah, yes, please, yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, maybe I'm going to move on to some of the innovative one. Can we move to the 3rd project from, okay, move down. We're looking for Espejo Tarapacá. So next slide. Yeah, that one, thank you. So one of the projects that we funded a couple of years back is the Espejo Tarapacá, the hydro storage, pump-up storage that we installed in, we are trying to install in Chile, where we are pumping up the seawater to this shape in the desert. And during the day, it will pump up the water with solar energy. And after the sun goes down, it will release the water from the upper reservoir to create the hydro energy. So at the time we approved it, seawater pump-up storage at this scale was unknown to the world. So we thought, we looked at how innovative it was and invested it. If we can move on to the Fijian example. Yeah, next one. Thank you, that one. Okay, but in Fiji, we have looked at the photovoltaic project in Oahu, where we financed a 4 megawatt solar photovoltaic system and battery storage. So you will see a little bit of a comparison between the one I've just commented on. So whenever we fund the project, we look at the regional context heavily. So whenever something is not yet widespread in one particular region, even if the technology itself is not so innovative in the way that I've just described in Sporo Tarapaka, that we still consider that as a priority. So this was one of those examples. And I understand I went a little bit over time. Apologies for that, Kato-san and the operations team. I think I'm going to end my presentation over here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fujiwara-san. Well, I think it's a really good introduction for tomorrow's session, and also the last two exemplar cases are really insightful, and I think many colleagues from islands will they're encouraged to also investigate potentials for their own portfolio of project. Okay, we are almost ending with this today's session, but I would like to maximize the benefit of having some questions or comments from participants. So anybody who are interested in raising questions, I think this is a really good start of discussion at the first day. If there are anybody who wants to raise questions, one or two. Anyone? Okay, Aquila, please.
Yeah, thank you, Makato-sen. I note from the JCM presentation that only Palau from the Pacific Islands region is the beneficiary of the JCM so far. And then the presenter mentioned that there are JCM approved countries. So my question is, how do you get the countries to be a beneficiary or to be approved to benefit from the JCM scheme?
Okay.
Yeah? And the second question is, how do we access, or when are we going to receive the call for proposal, call for expression of interest for the JCM, so that we can submit our expression of interest? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aquila. So that goes to Watanabe-san, but maybe one more question to pick up, if there are any. Anyone? I think in Caribbean region, I think it's very late at night, so I'm very sorry about this, but all right. Okay, so then let us, Watanabe-san, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so please.
Yeah, thank you for your questions. Firstly, yes, the current JCM partner country is 17 countries, as I said. But we would like to enlarge JCM partner countries more. So we are negotiating and contacting with other countries and considering the needs of the other developing countries. So yes, we especially Pacific Island countries. Yes, Palau is the only country just now, but we would like to enlarge another Pacific Island countries as JCM partner countries. So last year we held a JCM workshop for the Pacific Island countries. Through such forum or bilateral meetings, we would like to seek a possibility to make another GCM partnership with other potential countries in Pacific Island countries. And regarding the second question, yes, after making a partnership between Japanese government and other developing countries' national government, private companies will make a proposal of the GCM project for the introduction of infrastructure in developing country, and then so these private companies will submit their proposal to our ministry, and we will check and we will adapt. That is a GCM financial scheme proposal and adoption processes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a good indication that some other countries are discussing about the participation of the in the JCM scheme. So so if you're interested, then perhaps you may want to contact with the Embassy of Japan, other Japanese representative in your country. Thank you very much for your question. One more question from Mauritius. Can you, Jahazia, would you like to speak?
Yes.
Okay, please.
Yeah, thank you. I found this Green Island Power Program concept very interesting, particularly for small islands, because we have capacity building program, and we can even have tailor-made program for integrating viable renewable energy in our grid. And being small islands, we have limited space also for PV, and we are looking for like floating PV, all these type of projects which can be adapted for small islands. So my question is, how can we, small islands, how can we tap in from those resources or get the assistance from JICA for this project? It can be capacity building, it can be on the implementation side also, or particularly like in our island, we want to go ahead with the developing of floating PV, but we don't have this expertise. So how can we tap in from your side?
Thank you very much for your question. Mitomori-san, may I invite you to respond?
Yes, Hajira-san, thank you very much for your question. And actually, yes, this project, as in my presentation said, we are trying to reach out to other regions outside of Pacific region. So, and of course, the magnitude of the cooperation is the focus on the Pacific Island, but like we are trying to open the have the opportunity to share the knowledge or those things. So and actually the exact project is operated not under myself, but I can reach out to connect with you to department. So also please send me mail or other information. So maybe that is the starting point, I think.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So Jahazia, let us also bridge the contact between Mitomori-san and also your side. So this is actually the start of something, probably. Thank you very much. All right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your question. So while we want to spend more time with you, but I think in the other side of on the other side of the globe, well, I think the night is becoming so deep, so that the today let us actually conclude at this point, and then let's keep our momentum of discussion, momentum of questioning, momentum of understanding ourselves. Let us keep our good spirits for tomorrow and day after tomorrow. So Today we had done excellent introduction of different kind of climate finance. One from under Paris Agreement Article 6, such as the JCM, and also bilateral finance, as well as like a multilateral finance under the UNFCCC, and also financial mechanisms. So we have many different kinds of mode of finance, many different kinds of ways for which we can access. But I think it's important for to understanding the nature of also the focuses of different finance. I think this during the next for the next 3 or 4 days, let us strategize ourselves, and then I really hope that you will get something, and then I think we should get ready for accessing in better way, or we can access and also increase the readiness for materializing project. So today, I really want to thank for your participation. Also, I really want to thank presenters who provided excellent presentation with their great preparation as well. So today I am wrapping this up. And tomorrow is about, we're going to jump into the Climate Finance 2 exercise for developing bankable green climate finance funding proposals. So it's something really tangible discussion. And tomorrow we are going to start exactly the same hours. 12 o'clock p.m. in Tokyo time, and also let me check, 3 p.m. at Fijian time in Pacific, and also 7 a.m. at GST, Global Standard Time. So we are waiting for you tomorrow to go into more discussion more in detail and exercise more in detail tomorrow. So congratulations for your great start of the workshop today. Thank you. See you tomorrow.